Welcome to This Explainer. Look, if you've been job hunting in tech lately, I am willing to bet you are intimately familiar with this absolute headache of a problem, the experience loop. It's that brutal cycle, right? Every entry-level role suddenly demands, what, 2 to 3 years of experience? And internships, well, those feel like a lottery reserved strictly for students at top-tier schools. You're told to build projects, so you hustle. You push endless tutorial apps to your portfolio, you meticulously tweak your resume, and then crickets. You hear absolutely nothing back. Well, today we are going to break down exactly why that's happening, and far more importantly, how you can shatter that cycle and literally create your own legitimate professional experience. Okay, let's dive right into this. Why are your GitHub projects getting completely ignored by recruiters? Seriously? You're probably sitting there thinking, I did everything the boot camps and the influencers told me to do. You learned the syntax, you built the projects, you studied consistently, yet despite doing everything by the book, you're still getting ghosted. It is incredibly demoralizing. But listen, it is not a reflection of your coding ability. The truth is, the fundamental nature of what companies are looking for has completely shifted, and the standard advice, it just hasn't caught up. And this brings us to a really harsh reality, the experience loop. It is an absolute catch-22. You need experience to get hired, but you need to get hired to get experience. It makes the whole job hunt feel, frankly, impossible. And I completely empathize with this frustration. I really do. It feels like it invalidates the countless hours you've spent coding in your bedroom. But here's the secret we're going to unpack today. Those generic projects you're building to try and break through, they aren't actually helping you because they completely fail to answer the core questions a hiring manager is actually asking. So, let's look at section 1, decoding the hiring manager. Believe it or not, there is really only one question in a hiring manager's head when they scan your resume. Can this person reliably deliver value? Companies don't hire you just because they want to hand out a job, right? They hire you because they believe you're going to make them money or save them time. Every single role exists to generate more value than it costs. And here is the tough reality to swallow. Coding is actually the easiest part of that equation, especially nowadays. The hard part, the truly valuable part, is everything around the code. It's figuring out the right thing to build, making tough trade-off decisions, and actually shipping something that works for real people. So why exactly do standard portfolios fail to impress recruiters today? Well, think about your typical toy projects. You've got clean code and isolation, perfectly static data sets, and let's be honest, yet another unused to-do app. To a hiring manager, this just proves you can memorize syntax. But real professional experience, that involves messy data, real-world trade-off decisions, and shipping to actual users. A generic, pristine GitHub repo just doesn't prove you can handle the real, chaotic version of software development. Hiring managers don't just want to see years sitting at a desk. They want hard evidence that you've navigated actual, real-world friction. One of the biggest telltale differences between a toy project and professional experience is simply how you handle data. Look, static data sets from Kaggle are fine for learning, but they don't reflect software that actually interacts with the real world. Our source material highlights a really fantastic example using SERP API. It's a tool that gives you structured search data from Google or YouTube without the nightmare of proxy rotation or changing page layouts. And they even offer 250 free credits just to start. Using a tool like that to pull live, messy, real-time data to power, say, a research agent or a news monitor, that instantly elevates a project above a basic tutorial, purely because it shows you can build for what's happening right now in the real world. Moving right along to section 2, the paradigm shift, creating your own experience. Consider this incredible anecdote from our source. The author was doing some regular, totally non-tech volunteer work at the Red Cross and noticed people spending hours just manually copying information between systems. Mind-numbing, repetitive data entry. So, seeing the problem, she simply offered to automate it. She wrote a 50-line Python script. That's it. It wasn't wildly complex, but it worked, and boom, it saved the organization 10 hours a week. Nobody hired her to do this. Nobody had to take a chance on her. She just saw a real problem, offered a fix, and delivered. And this brilliantly illustrates the exact checklist you need to follow for transforming a hobby project into professional experience. You've got to check these boxes. First, find a real operational problem. Second, use live data and real infrastructure. Third, build the solution for a real person. And finally, deliver tangible consequences, like saving time. Because of this tiny script, that Red Cross volunteer could legitimately slap data analyst volunteer right on her resume. It's no longer just a portfolio project gathering dust on GitHub, it's professional experience, simply because it had real consequences for real people.
All right, Section 3, Securing Real-World Volunteer Projects.
Finding these projects is honestly so much easier than you might think. Almost every local nonprofit in your area, we're talking food banks, animal shelters, community centers, they are likely operating with tech from like 2002. They have massive operational bottlenecks and zero budget for developers. Heck, most don't even know software could solve their issues. But hey, don't limit yourself to nonprofits. How about a friend starting a small business who's managing everything in chaotic spreadsheets, or an uncle book? So here is your practical step-by-step plan for executing a high-impact volunteer project. Step 1. Identify a local organization or business with outdated tech. Step 2. Pitch them your free technical help to solve a very specific problem. Step 3. Build and implement the solution end-to-end. And Step 4. Add that verifiable impact to your resume. This simple 4-step process entirely replaces the standard, ignored GitHub to-do app. You are finally stepping out of the tutorial sandbox and stepping right into the real world.
Now, if you're wondering exactly how to make that pitch, you can use this exact copy-pastable framework. Hey, I'm a developer and I'd love to help you with some specific problem you have, no charge. It is really that simple. Lead with what you can offer them. Explicitly use the words volunteer or free so they know right away there's zero financial risk. Ask to learn about what would help them. Maybe it's automating a data pipeline. Maybe it's setting up an internal chatbot. Just open the door.
Let's look at an alternative in Section 4, Building for Niche Communities. If going out and pitching a specific business isn't really your vibe, that is totally fine. You can build for a lot of people all at once by targeting a niche. Think about recurring problems within your own hobbies. Are D&D players struggling with complex stat tracking? Great, build a specialized campaign tool. Freelancers dealing with unpredictable income? Build a niche budgeting app. Fitness hobbyists frustrated by generic workout logs? Build a custom tracker. Identify these common frustrations, build a solution, and then distribute it on Reddit or the App Store or a Discord server where people actually need it. Once real people download and start using it, it absolutely ceases to be a hobby project. It becomes a shipped product. So the absolutely crucial point here is this. The moment real users touch your code, things are going to break. Your app will inevitably crash at 2 a.m., your database won't handle the unexpected load, some user is going to find an edge case you never even considered testing for. And I know, while that sounds incredibly stressful, it is actually interview gold. Fixing those exact real-world problems gives you the exact production experience interviewers are absolutely desperate to hear about. It proves, without a doubt, that you can keep software working in the wild.
Which leads us perfectly to Section 5, the Organic Networking Cheat Code.
Now, what's really interesting here is how we reframe the dreaded concept of networking. Think about forced networking for a second. Awkward cold outreach on LinkedIn, desperately asking strangers for favors. Let's be real, everyone hates it. But contrast that with organic networking, providing value first, building a real relationship, and earning warm referrals. Everything we've just talked about, volunteering for a nonprofit, building an app for a friend's business, is actually networking in disguise. You're just doing the building part, and the networking happens completely organically as a side effect. Just imagine sitting down with a local tech recruiter or hiring manager and being able to say, I built an automation tool for the Red Cross chapter downtown. Wow. That is an incredibly powerful, warm reference. It immediately establishes you as an active, valuable professional in your community. It opens doors and sparks genuinely interesting conversations in a way that saying, I built a React calculator simply never, ever will. The absolute core takeaway you need to remember from all of this is building for others is networking. When you solve a real painful problem for a local nonprofit or a small business owner, you instantly create a strong relationship. If you do great work for them, they will naturally go out of their way to vouch for you, introduce you to their contacts, and think of you first when they hear about a job opening. You literally earn your network by proving your value first. The job market is undoubtedly rough right now, and companies unequivocally want real experience. But as we've seen throughout this explainer, you absolutely do not have to wait around for someone to hand you that experience. You have the power to create it yourself. So I want to leave you with this provocative question to chew on. Who will you build for today? Seriously, stop coding in isolation. Get out into the real world. Find a problem and start building your own professional experience. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will definitely catch you in the next one.